Oh my, it's the Merfolk Mirror. Emerson Spartz, you may recognize it. He is the husband of Gabby Spartz, the Magic caster. Both of them on matching Merfolk lists for the weekend.
And I was not expecting to see a Merfolk Mirror this late in the tournament. This is wild.
So we are underway. Game 3, this one is for the win. Both these players needing a pair of wins to top 8. So it's Silvergill Adepts on turn 2 for both players. We'll start with Birrell. It is Lord of Atlantis pumping his Adept into a 3-2, and more important, into an Island Walker. He'll attack and put Spartz down to 17.
So this matchup is all about just getting more Lords. Interesting thing about Lord of Atlantis versus
Master of the Pearl Trident?
Master of the Pearl Trident is Lord of Atlantis gives all Merfolk Island Walk.
Oh, wow. So Spartz is Silvergill Adepts a 3-2 Island Walker?
Yeah, this is somewhat awkward. You would much rather draw the one that they printed after they stopped caring about effects being symmetrical.
It's interesting. When you get to mirror matches, I would say in Magic, mirror matches are frequently the most interesting matchups in Magic, and also the most lopsided matchups in Magic, like uninteresting matchups in Magic. They really run the gamut. Creature mirrors are usually super complicated, but with Merfolk, with so much Island Walk, it's actually just a race.
Yeah, combat is just going to be safe on most turns. You count your power, you attack, your opponent's life total changes by that number.
Yeah, and then no one blocks, no one kills anything, no one blocks. Because of that, a card like Mutavault is actually really important in the matchup.
Yeah, it's like another spell.
That you didn't have to pay for. It's pretty great. So Spartz will swing back 17 all. Here is Tidebinder Mage for Spartz. Yeah, there are no red or green creatures.
2 mana, 3/3 with Island Walk, but generally just a 2/2 with no text.
Another Mutavault for Birrell. Am I going too far in saying that this second Mutavault could just be the difference maker?
Well, especially compounded by this Master Waves. That pumps the Mutavaults as well.
They're Elementals and Merfolk. It will have Devotion of 4, so 4 Elementals into play.
If you're asking if I would rather draw Mutavault than Oboro Palace in the Clouds,
that was the question.
The answer is yes.
Yes. Oh, okay. But what if you only? I was gonna say if you only drew Oboros and Manamos, then you wouldn't get Island Walked on.
This is true.
It's never gonna happen. Swing for 3 from Adept puts Emerson down to 14.
And for interactive spells in this matchup, there's Vapor Snag and there's Dismember. When the boards develop this much, Dismember is more of a liability than anything. I don't even know if you can afford to have it in the mirror match. You just kind of got to bank on getting out ahead of your opponent and just drawing more creatures.
Yeah, we'll look at Emerson's board here. So now he's down to 14. He actually is ahead on the race. He can swing and put Birrell down to 11. But what's he going to do about this army here? You know, he might die next turn.
Well, there's certainly lethal damage on the other side of the table. The only blockable creatures are those elemental tokens right now. Really hopes, he wants to have like a Vapor Snag so he can get that Lord of Atlantis off the table and actually be able to block on the following turn.
There is 1 Dismember in each player in Emerson's sideboard. He has 2 copies of Threads of Disloyalty. Great, but not great against Master of Waves. Does have 2 Vapor Snags and 2 Dismembers in the main. So, okay, it's possible for him to kill the Master of Waves, but he'd need the card in his hand.
That's another interesting element to the difference between Lord of Atlantis and Master of the Pearl Trident, is if you Threads your opponent's Master, then their creatures don't have Island Walk anymore. But if you Threads their Lord of Atlantis...
It's just saying in the mirror that Lord of Atlantis is just it's nowhere near as good, is it?
It's just a really oddball card.
Here is Threads of Disloyalty. He's going to take the Silvergill Adept that's tapped on Birrell's side.
Yeah, well, because the Lord of Atlantis itself doesn't have Island Walk. It just gives other Merfolk Island Walk.
So your options were Elemental Token, Lord of Atlantis, Silvergill Adept?
Yeah.
I'll pass. I guess this is the one, but if I'm in Emerson's spot, I'm not happy about this. I wanted to get more.
Your options were bad, worse, and the other thing. He went with the other thing.
That's fine. If he has Vapor Snag or Dismember in hand to answer this Master, he might be okay.
Yeah. That's what you really need to be using that last blue mana for on this turn.
And he is pumping the brakes. Going to go ahead and pass the turn. We're back to Birrell. But the danger is that Birrell has these Mutavaults. You said they're both Elementals and Merfolk, right?
Yes, they're all creature types.
So, I don't know. It's a lot of damage.
Correct. This could be a very large swing. A ton of pressure on Emerson to have that Vapor Snag this turn. When the Master of Waves leaves the battlefield, that would cause the elemental tokens to go away. That could work as kind of a fog. If Ian activates the Mutavaults, that takes him off mana to recast the Master on this turn.
Right. He'll activate both Mutavaults. And he's going to go for the win. Just force Emerson to have the removal spell. And swing the entire team. Blockers go in front of the elemental tokens. He's swinging the Lord of Atlantis too, is aggressive, but we count damage. This is 4. Yeah, it's still lethal. Emerson doesn't have the removal spell, and the match goes to Ian Birrell.
He was attacking with enough 2-power creatures that could be blocked. The Lord actually forced the issue to make it lethal even with 2 blocks.
Right, so it was 4 off the Mutavault, 8 is the second Mutavault, 2 unblocked elementals is 9, 10, 11, 12, and then we look at the other creatures, it was a pair of 2/2s, that's 13, 14, 15, 16, it's more than Emerson can stop.